is hope. Justice.
Ready?
It could save this city.
Should we call, is backup the term you use?
Yeah.
Terry Pratchett fans will love The Watch.
There is a dragon at large.
Eventually.
I want you to marshal.
There is a character who I believe is called Sam Howler in my second favourite Terry Pratchett book, which is Going Postal. You're going to find out in the course of this short video that I am a man who is 43 years old. Much of my Terry Pratchett fandom was in my early teens, 8, 9, 10, and I followed everything from about Mort through to like the 15th or 16th Terry Pratchett novel, and then I kind of grew up and I read a lot of other stuff, and then I kind of came back to Terry Pratchett a bit later. The point being that there's going to be a lot of names and details that I do not fully remember, both in Terry Pratchett and in The Watch, and the cast of actors and characters in The Watch, which is the topic of this video. Sam Howler, who in Going Postal is a collector of pins. And he's fascinated by pins. He collects all the pin reading magazines. He knows every kind of possible pin. And I think this character, along with a number of similar characters in the canon of Terry Pratchett, is an affectionate portrait of fandom. The kind of people who are fans of things. Terry Pratchett knew fandom very well. He was a lifelong fan of sci-fi and fantasy. Well before he was famous, he knew many of the great writers in the field. He loved fandom, and he made this portrait of fans and the way that fans love the details of things and how loyal fans are to the things they love. And the problem that The Watch from BBC America had was that before it was released, when the first trailer came out, it triggered the loyalty of fans, partly because of a statement from Terry Pratchett's daughter, Rhianna Pratchett, that it shared no DNA with the books of Terry Pratchett. And this has made it very unpopular amongst the huge army of fans who exists for Terry Pratchett's wonderful books, which is a shame, because I think that fans of Terry Pratchett will love The Watch eventually. It's going to take some time because The Watch is different. The Watch is stylistically quite unlike previous adaptations of Terry Pratchett to screen, which is a good thing because the previous adaptations of Terry Pratchett to the screen were safe, boring, pedestrian. They made very obvious and incorrect decisions. They decided to make the world of Ankh-Morpork and Discworld and the world of Terry Pratchett look like a fantasy world. And they took all of the most stereotyped and cliched ideas of what a fantasy world looks like and they put them on a screen. And that's not what Terry Pratchett was doing. Terry Pratchett was tearing the fantasy genre apart. Terry Pratchett was satirizing the fantasy genre, at least initially. Conan the Barbarian, Rincewind the Wizard, these are comedy caricatures based on the archetypes of fantasy that Terry Pratchett was making affectionate fun of. And then he went on and he turned fantasy into the landscape for great political and social satire. And you have things like Going Postal, which is about the privatization of our great public services. You have, whichever later stage Terry Pratchett Discworld book you want to pick up on, Moving Pictures. As you can tell, my memory is failing me at the moment. But they are these great, great social and political satires. And the mental look of Discworld is very much down to each individual reader, but my mental look was nothing like these stereotypes of fantasy. But it did look a lot like The Watch from BBC America. What have BBC America done with this production? They've made Ankh-Morpork look like Cyberpunk 2077. This is fantasy meets cyberpunk. This is The Wire meets the imagination of Terry Pratchett, but weird and fucked up. It's a profoundly strange reimagining of Ankh-Morpork, and this is what we needed. There are two ways to approach an adaptation. Faithful. You take the material that you've got and you faithfully adapt it to screen. And I have no doubt that the hugely loyal fans for Terry Pratchett would like a faithful adaptation. But here's the problem. What is Terry Pratchett really? Terry Pratchett's books, words on the page, they're a voice. They are the voice of Sir Terry Pratchett, who had an amazing, insightful, incisive, hilariously funny, observant, beautiful voice as a writer and as a human being. And when you pick up any Terry Pratchett book, you get the voice of Terry Pratchett. And what can a screen adaptation not do? It can't give you that beautiful, humane voice. Instead, it has to give you a style. It has to give you a visual voice. And this is the second way to approach an adaptation. You say, this is the material that we had. This is Terry Pratchett. This is Discworld. This is Ankh-Morpork. And we are, as radically as Terry Pratchett reinvented fantasy and his satires of it, we are going to reinvent Terry Pratchett. This is inspired by Terry Pratchett, but we're going to give it a new look. We are going to, in a kind of William Burroughs-esque way, cut up amazing parts, some of the best jokes and insights from across the work of Terry Pratchett, and blend them down into the Watch storyline. We're going to rethink and reimagine the characters. We're going to make something new, but that encapsulate the spirit that Sir Terry Pratchett brought when he was himself making new work based on the old kind of cliched, tired ideas of fantasy that he was making very affectionate fun of. And this is what makes The Watch so great. It is not a faithful adaptation of Terry Pratchett, but it is very much in the true spirit of Terry Pratchett. It is playful. It is super intelligent. It is creative. It's an amazing production. Truly, it's a really brilliant production. Look at the production design. Look at the way they have thrown away the kind of fake stone walls that you might think of as Ankh-Morpork, and they've cast it in kind of postmodernist, brutalist, concrete architecture. It's brilliant cinematography. It's great color grading. It's wonderful set and costume design, and it's brilliant casting. I don't know the names of any of the actors, but they are really, really good throughout. Sam Vine's actor, particularly, I know him as the guy from Game of Thrones. So the guy from Game of Thrones is really good as Sam Vimes. He's not the Sam Vimes you imagined when you were reading those novels, but he is a really, really brilliant Sam Vimes. Lara Rossi as Lady Sybil Ramkin. I don't know her as an actress. I don't know this as a character. She's really good. She's really good in this role. There is a hilarious moment, spoiler alert, where she flamethrowers with a baby dragon two goons at the baddie in the show. And then she feels really bad about flamethrowing them. She throws them down a sewer, and then they're eaten in the sewer by a monster. And it's just brilliant kind of visual humor. And Lara Rossi acts it really, really well. I think now we've been introduced to all of the characters and we are getting into season 1. I think this is a show that when Pratchett fans put aside their initial impressions from that trailer and from whatever was said about it, I think this is a show that Terry Pratchett fans are going to truly adore, going to be huge fans of in turn. And I give congratulations to the BBC America team making it. If you are a dedicated Pratchett fan, tune in to The Watch. You are going to enjoy it if you give it that chance. It's super high quality. Thank you very much. My name is Damien Walter. If you have enjoyed this little video, pop along and find my course, Advanced Sci-Fi and Fantasy Writing the 21st Century Myth. We're heading into the final length of the course. We have upcoming lessons in Blade Runner and Lord of the Rings. We are looking at Jungian archetypes, and we are looking at bringing the personal and emotional into our writing as sci-fi and fantasy authors, and we're going to have some exciting news about getting your stories into the world. Head over to damongwalter.com for details on that. Follow the link in the show notes below. Smash like and subscribe to the channel if you are a Pratchett fan. Thank you very much.